Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ronn Easton, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast, Tell It Like It Is, with my producer, Andy Tappan. Andy, say hey.
Hello.
The man is sitting down here running this show. Last podcast, I had just an outstandingly outrageous time with Jelly Bean Johnson from Morris Day and the Time, and I promise you we will definitely be doing more of that. But for this podcast, I'd kind of like to discuss the things that have taken place this past week since the passing of Justice Ginsburg. You're getting all kinds of false information from all over the place, and that's the reason why I started this podcast, is so that I could just tell you the truth. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, and I'm not going to tell you bullshit and things that aren't true. I'm going to be completely and totally honest with you. Back in October of 2016, I started speaking out because of the fact that I've told you before, I am a soldier. I stood up and raised my right hand to take that oath of enlistment. And if you look at that, there is no expiration date on that oath. So right now, I'm speaking to other soldiers. It is abundantly clear that the current administration is a clear and present danger to not only the Constitution, but to democracy itself. When President Trump, and I don't use that phrase very often, and I will just say it right now, when he took over in the White House, it was instantly chaos. They were going to build a wall, and it was just going to stretch from here to there, and Mexico was going to pay for it. You've seen how that has worked out. And there's roughly only 300 miles of wall that has not just been built, but it's been redone. It's been remodeled. It's been refurbished, whatever you want to call it. But there's no new wall that has taken place. Back in October of 2016, I told you that the president is a sociopathic narcissist. How do I know that? Because I looked it up. Let me see if this sounds familiar to you. A sociopathic narcissist will be cold and callous, but will also be seeking the admiration of others and will believe that they deserve it. For example, John McCain's funeral. Now, this is a man that he despised because he was captured. He endured years of torture at the hands of the North Vietnamese, and yet he can say that he was a sucker or a loser, and he was not his taste, as he calls it. When John McCain passed away, he got the funeral that he deserved, that he earned. But yet and still 45, is the way I refer to him, has said he received no praise, no appreciation for giving the man what he wanted. It's not what he wanted, it's what he deserved. Rented lips today. Sociopathic narcissists, they have a disdain for people and think it's okay to exploit and dispose of others in whatever way it helps get them ahead. How many people have come through the White House? Kelly, McMaster, Comey, and the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. Jeff Sessions comes to mind because when Jeff Sessions was appointed Attorney General, it was with a purpose in mind, to back up whatever 45 had to say without question. So never mind about the rule of law. It had to be his rule at that point. While sociopaths don't think about other people unless they can benefit them in some way, how many women have come forward and said that they were molested by 45 or raped by 45? How many times when during the pageants, young women would say he would come into the room unannounced and just ogle and look at them? Many, many times. You've heard him say on the bus, when you're a celebrity, you can grab them by the pussy and they don't care. How many wives has he cheated on? As a matter of fact, while Melania was pregnant with their son Barron, he was cheating with the porn star and the Playboy. So it's all about integrity. Now, while I looked that up, I also looked at traits of a leader. Traits of a leader. Integrity is number one. This man has none. When he was asked to enlist in the military, he got 5 deferments and said bone spurs, which we know he doesn't have bone spurs. Honesty. It has been documented over and over and over and over again that this man has lied to the American public and still lies to the American public. Empathy. That's a big one. Right now, America stands at 204,000 people who are dead as a result of the coronavirus. There's no empathy toward those people. There's no empathy toward those families. Since he started campaigning again, so to speak, he loves having the auditorium packed with people who adore and admire him. Never mind the risk. Never mind the fact that those thousands of people are standing shoulder to shoulder in states where there have been spikes for COVID. But if you notice one thing, all of the people who are behind 45, they're all wearing masks. Every last one of them. Why? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that. He brings shame to the office of the president. He demoralizes the people. The United States of America, as it sits right now, is dealing with one giant case of PTSD because we don't know what's going to happen next. Every day it's something that's bad, and it continually gets worse. Now he's degrading the election. He's saying that mail-in ballots are bad, and we've been doing it for years. 33 states depend upon mail-in ballots. Depend on it. And you would think that in the middle of a pandemic, of all times, now would be the time he would encourage the mail-in ballots. But no, he's doing anything that he can do to nullify the 2020 election. Then that brings us to Amy Coney Bryant. My grandmother used to say, you don't get to be old being a fool. And in 70 years of living, I've seen a lot. I've seen war. I've seen man's inhumanity to man. I've seen people belittled and demeaned like they were nothing. Amy Coney Bryant has told you where she stands on abortion. So you know that Roe v. Wade will be threatened. But here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and she has told you that Justice Roberts basically overspoke himself when making that decision back in 2016 that kept the Affordable Care Act. That is on the line. Millions of people rely upon the Affordable Care Act. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to those people who have the existing medical conditions that or pre-existing medical conditions that will be wiped out if they don't have the Affordable Care Act? In the middle of a pandemic with 204,000 people dead, he wants to take away the Affordable Care Act. The governor in Florida wants to just throw the doors wide open. Open that state. No restrictions. You don't get fined for not wearing a mask. The bars will be operating at full capacity. How long do you think it's going to take before that comes back and bites them in the ass? Florida is already experiencing a spike, but yet and still we still have no national plan for education. And they want you to send your children back to school. Does this seem right? If you think about this logically, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. Think about this as a human being. This isn't about money right now. This is about lives. This is about the future for your children. What kind of planet do you want to leave for your children? Seriously. We've lost our standing in the world. People don't look at the United States of America as a leader anymore. They look at us as if we're a chump and we're being played. You've got Don Jr. going out telling every able-bodied person to join Trump's army and going to the election places to make sure it's a fair election. It has always been a fair election. But in order to make us seem less than what we are, he downs it. He downs the FBI. He downs the CIA. He downs the FDA. He downs HHS. He downs everything that he touches because he feels that he's the only person who can fix it. And he's not. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm depending upon each and every American to search their soul. And ask yourself, what type of country do you want to live in? Do you want a dictator, or do you want a president who has the qualities of integrity, honesty, empathy, leadership, courage? That's the kind of person I want to be led by. The President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, I want you to remember this, has stood up and said that people who serve, people who get caught, are losers and suckers. Losers and suckers. Remember that. I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, especially you young folks, this is your time to shine. This is your time to stand up and make your voices heard in such a way that there will be no doubt as to the winner of the 2020 presidential election. I know I get really worked up behind this because I see things that just aren't right. I see us going back to a time where hatred was prevalent and man's inhumanity to man because of skin color was the order of the day. I will not go back to that. I ask you, I beg you, I plead with you, if you see this podcast, please share this podcast. Come to YouTube, subscribe to my podcast channel, and just let me know what you think. I've had a lot of negative response, and those people who say they would love to call me an asshole or a pussy to my face and slap me to my face, I welcome that. Anytime, anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for you to stand up because America, democracy, and liberty sorely needs you. I thank you for listening. Stay healthy, stay happy.
Hey, one more thing. Just before we finish, we forgot to talk about President Donald Trump and his refusal to leave power.
Oh, that's right.
We don't want to leave
right.
We don't want to
That's
leave this
right.
one on the table.
I thank you for reminding me of that, Andy. And that just escaped me.
That's okay.
Because he has never said that if he loses the election, that he will transfer power peacefully. Seriously. We've had 44 presidents before him, and no one, not one of them, has ever said that. That goes back to that sociopathy that I was talking about. Narcissists do not like to give up power, especially when it's total and control, and total and just controllable power. Please, folks, we can't let this happen. It just cannot happen. America needs you. Now is the time when you stand up and you take your oath of enlistment to change this nation for the better.
And we have to beat him so bad that he can't not give up.
Amen. That's the key. That's the key. The votes have to just be just overwhelming. That way it cannot be questioned. It doesn't have to go before the Supreme Court. It's like when you get a good ass whipping, you know your ass has been truly whipped. So again, on behalf of myself and Andy Tappan, I thank you. Peace.